Hey, it's Mo, and we're on a roll. This is our 7th of 100 episodes, micro episodes, short, power-packed episodes, giving you the top 100 skills that I think someone needs to be great at to grow their book of business, their relationships, in their career. This is our second set of 5 where we're talking about designing and executing a wonderful magnetic buy-in process. And in the last video, I gave an overarching construct for the major steps that you need to think about to design that buying process. In this episode, we're driving deep. Our headline is we're going deep into the idea of listening and learning. How do we construct really great questions so that the client's excited to answer them and we learn what we need to know to be helpful to them? Here's the science, which I think is super interesting. There's a triple win when it comes to asking great questions, listening and learning, if you will. Win number 1, it lights up the pleasure center of the other side's mind. The pleasure center is ridiculously powerful. My favorite researcher here, Dr. Diana Tamir, in what she's found, hooking people up to functional MRI machines, measuring blood oxygenation in the brain, is that when people answer what scientists call self-disclosing information, just generally their personal perspective, something only they know. Self-disclosing information, in my parlance, is just something it's something only the other person knows that answer. When somebody answers self-disclosing information, the pleasure center of their mind lights up. We commonly say things like, whoa, people like to talk about themselves. Man, it is much deeper than that. That's on the surface, but we are literally on a high, as if we just drank a stimulant like Red Bull, like we're eating great food. Those are other areas that the pleasure center lights up when we do those things. We're literally on a high as if we just drank a Red Bull when we share self-disclosing information or our personal perspective on something. That's win number 1. Win number 2 is that we learn their priorities and their words. And let me tell you, it's a whole lot easier for you to say, that second thing you mentioned, that's exactly what we do as we solve that problem. That really quick answer to someone resonates with them like, whoa, tell me more. Now compare that to if you show up with a big long PowerPoint talking about all the things you do and you're good at, and you're just like throwing spaghetti at the wall. That person's tuned out by the time they get to number 7, which might be the thing that they're actually interested in. So it's a whole lot easier to get them talking and then say, that thing you mentioned, that's what we do if it's true. And then that plays out really well. So number 1, you've already lit up their pleasure center. Number 2, you're going to learn their priorities and their words. And number 3, self-disclosing information and the sharing of it, highly correlated to likability. So quick science summary is asking great questions is going to give the other side a high. You're going to learn their priorities in their words so that you can use that as you explain what you do instead of your own jargon. And third, the more they talk when it comes to self-disclosing information, the less you do, the more they like you. That's the third thing. I think it's awesome. How do you do it? Well, there's a whole bunch more in our book, The Snowball System. There's a whole half chapter on it. But the quick nut of it is, and what you can take away today, is that you want to ask questions that only they know. Hey, and I'll just give you a couple real simple examples, but these are going to be more generic than you want to do. You want to dig into the research. You want to know what's going on at that organization. You want to pair it with your deep expertise. And you want to ask questions that really show that you did your homework. So I can't do that now because I don't know what the context is of your next meeting. But at a high level, these are the kind of questions that you'd want to ask. Hey, Janie, if you could wave a magic wand and everything would change with your organization in the way that you just talked about, what would be the change that you would have people do that you think would be important for them? Hey Phil, if you could have one of your metrics meaningfully move for the rest of the year when it comes to blank, whatever your expertise, what would that be? What would be the now and the later change in that metric? Hey, Joe, if you could have the process that you talked about that's sort of broken, if you could have that fixed, what would the outcome look like around that? If that process could be improved or fixed based on what your own personal perspective running this division. So notice what was common across those simple examples is you want to ask the other side, what do you think? what's your perspective? If you had to pick one thing, what it could be? The great example of really well-designed questions that are going to get you that triple win that I talked about is the other person is going to share something only they know. Really cool stuff. Hey, I'm going to put 2 links down in the show notes. One is the actual link to Dr. Tamir's actual research if you want to go deeper. And I'll put a link to our book, The Snowball System, in there too, because there's a whole half chapter on how to design really great questions. We've got something called the gravitas model. It's got 6 dimensions. It gives you loads of ideas and examples about how to ask really, really, really good questions. Both of these are real powerful. The Dr. Diana Tamir link will let you go deep into this idea of people sharing self-disclosing information, the research behind it if you really want to dig in. And then the chapter in the Snowball System is going to give you great examples on how to construct specific questions like I shared here. So let me finish with this. Here's the trap to avoid. The trap to avoid is starting with yourself. Yes, there are times to do it. I'm going to cover those in future episodes. That's all about demand creation. There are times you want to bring an idea to a client, of course. But you want the bulk of a lot of your conversations with the client talking and in the ways that I've shared with today. And that's the key takeaway. That's what I want you to linger on. All right. More coming up. In our next episode, we're going to talk about creating curiosity. And with all these episodes, I hope that they help you help your clients succeed.